You know what? This former actor. Some of you might know him. I didn't see him in person. But he used to live in my neighborhood. I think he's still there. I don't know. Desmond Elliott is his name. And he goes to commission borehole water for people, and tells you that, he has brought something. It's like, look, somebody is just going to sit down, take you for a ride, and then look for the most backward and dehumanizing project to commission and tell you they gave you 200 desks in a classroom. And, you should clap for them.
You can, and some of them actually will say, I built a board crossing over a gutter. Okay. So you can go from this part of the gutter to the other part without jumping. You walk on a wooden board, and they would shamelessly go and commission this thing and put a ribbon and bring something and cut. And I said, these are idiots who take vacations in Dubai, who take vacations in North America, who go to South Africa on vacations. I said, did these countries that you like to hunt on vacations, did they become great by putting boards over gutters, open gutters? Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's and we're talking about Tinubu, to sort of talk about Tinubu a bit. I read a report. let me see if I can find part of it. So I read a report. The Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressive Congress has released a revised campaign timetable indicating that President Muhammadu Buhari would attend the party's presidential campaign in at least 10 states of the federation.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
In a statement Friday morning, the party's campaign spokesperson, Festus Keyamo, said Mr. Buhari will be available to wave the broom. Again, wave the broom. Okay? I remember when Buhari was first running to be president, and I was interviewed on Ben Television in London. And I made the point then that waving the broom did not mean anything, that it was just an absurd gesture. And I said, when you wave the broom, it does not amount to vision, does not amount to a manifesto, it does not amount to any imagination of what you will do as a leader. But again, to some people, just waving a broom is all that it takes. It's just like people saying, I'm articulated or I'm obedient. These are empty words, right? So that Tinubu said
ingredients.
Yes, yeah. So said Mr. Buhari will be available to wave the broom and mobilize voters in Adamawa on 9 January, Yobe on 10 January, Sokoto on 16 January, Kwara on 17 January, and Ogun on 25 January. The president, Mr. Keyamo, said would also be physically present at the rallies in Cross River State on 30 January, Nasarawa on 4 January, on 4 February, Katsina on 6 February, and Imo on 14 February. So this is what I was thinking. If there was any rational thinking in the APC, they would know that their electoral fortune lies in hiding Buhari from anybody. Because this is a man who has epitomized disaster for Nigerians. And we're going to talk in a minute about the experiences of people who have, been in Nigeria during this festive period. But you saw even in the last midterm elections in America, there were Democratic candidates in contested constituencies who said to Biden, because Biden was extremely unpopular, they said, please do not come to campaign for us. Okay? They actually ran by assuring people that they were distant from the president. So, and yet Biden is actually in some ways successful on some domestic agenda, and especially in the views of some Americans in the way that he's stood up to Russia on Ukraine. I disagree, but some people think he's doing a fantastic job, right? Yep. So that Buhari would actually go to 10 states and, to quote the spokesperson for the campaign, wave a broom. if the APC, the Tinubu Presidential Council, considered itself a rational committee, and if the party itself had any sense of logic, they would know that bringing the man that represents this this ghost of failure and of disaster before Nigerians is a move that you should not make. But it speaks to a certain arrogance, a certain unawareness of how disastrous Buhari has been, that the party is actually celebrating the fact that Buhari will show up to campaign for them. I don't know what your take is.
I mean, just a sheer lack of, and in some ways, man, I mean, the arrogance in Nigeria is there. People, we talked about it last time and we'll keep talking about it. People who vote Buhari just purely on ethnic grounds. You have to factor it in. I've met people who, a lot of people are going to either not vote or vote on ethnic grounds. It is what it is. They have preconceived notions about Nigerian history, which is almost entirely false. But just like I tell people, like even the major ethnic groups, if you talk about Igbos and Yorubas, and you read our epistemology, we're actually very much similar. I'd say even 90% similar than we are dissimilar. But for a lot of reasons historically, we have been at loggerheads, which you could get into in terms of the way Action Group came in, the NCNC breaks up, the Action Group, the handling of the 1951 and 1953 Western Union crisis, the way both parties, Awolowo and Zik, handled it. You could debate their actions. Some say, everything was above board. Some say it wasn't. But the handling of it by Zik, the handling of it by Awolowo, created not just factions. And of course,
the Civil War.
And the Civil War. And then you already had a 10-year situation where the way Zik goes into, all that stuff we'll get into at some point in time. But, it's just what it is that people don't need to be aware because they're going to rely on sentiments. Or they're going to rely, like people ask me, who's going to win? And I said, how is the process going to play out?
Yes.
Is it going to be 70% legit? Because if it is, I'll put my money at Peter Obi wins in one round. Just because I think it's not anything even, but I just think people want to try something else. They've heard of Atiku since PDM. Atiku has been in politics since the late 80s. Even earlier than that, but he's been known very well with the PDM movement of the late Musa Yar'Adua, the Yar'Adua Foundation, who was his handpicked successor. Tinubu, similar to, has been in politics also since the late 80s into the early 90s. And he has so many ballots.
Had an incarnation where he was part of the June 12th exile movement. And people remembered him as somebody who represented progress in Nigerian politics. I don't think that having been governor of Lagos State, and especially after he served as governor, that his subsequent activities, turning himself into turning Lagos State into milking cow, and other parts of the Southwest, basically, and how he's come to his inexplicable wealth, that anybody will consider Tinubu today a progressive force.
Yeah, and even those that I remember, I was talking with somebody, I was like, one of the last cementing things for Tinubu was the death of Funshaw Williams under mysterious circumstances. Because for those who don't know, Funshaw Williams was somebody who was reputed to actually have won the governorship in Lagos and was likely to succeed Tinubu after 8 years. But need to go back. I remember when he died. But he was killed under very suspicious and mysterious, and he was executed. And, guys that ran afterwards, the Jimmy Agbajes, they talked well, they talked nice, but they didn't have the complete package to defeat Tinubu at the polls. Funshaw Williams did. I was likely going to, and had already done that. But, that's Tinubu. But I mean, and to go into it, the main mirror of, to segue into it, the